So can you edit your own book? Do you need to hire a developmental editor, a copy editor? In this video, I'm going to show you my process for editing my own nonfiction book. Hey, I'm Jonathan Milligan, author of several books, and I have been able to publish both traditionally working with a book publisher that has a in-house editorial team, and I've also self-published and done self-editing. Now, there's certainly benefits to hiring a developmental editor for your book if you can afford one. So certainly do so if you don't want to do it and you'd like to have someone else do it. Now, a developmental editor looks at the big chunks of your book and makes sure that it makes sense as an overall flow. A copy editor actually gets down into the grammar. What I'm going to show you today is how to do it yourself, and I'm currently working on my next book. This was a brand new book that I published a couple months ago. I'm working on the second of the series, and I'm going to show you with a real life chapter of what I'm doing once I have my draft. So let's jump into the computer and let's walk through this. Now, I use Atticus. I love Atticus as a place to write my books. I can use it on any computer. It automatically saves to the cloud. And what I love about Atticus is the formatting. So if you flip over to formatting here, you can quickly see how your book is looking in all these different formats, including print. So if I click on this, I can take a look right away at how is my book looking in the print version of my book. So I absolutely love this tool. So the book I'm working on is, let me flip back over here. It's called Launch Your Platform. And I am working today on chapter 16 about the importance of your About Me page on your website. So I've already got a draft here, and I'm just going to walk you through and show you exactly what I like to do. So the first thing is I already have Grammarly, the extension, Chrome extension on my Chrome here. And so you can see instantly all these red lines. I can try to make it a little bit bigger. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is once I write my draft, and it's very important that you don't write and edit at the same time. It takes two different parts of your brain. So I normally just get the draft out. And then when I'm feeling good about the draft, now it's time to edit. So first thing, step one is Grammarly. So I have the Grammarly Pro, and it's going to allow me not only to correct errors, but also where I may have a passive voice sentence or some kind of structural component that I need to fix. So I'm going to walk through and show you exactly how I do it as if you're looking over my shoulder. So let's do this together. All right, so let's do, that is a better word for catalog. Here it's saying, hey, remove the comma. And I don't accept all of them. Sometimes some of these suggestions don't make sense, but let's just do the ones that do. When you see purple, that's usually they have a suggestion about restructuring your sentence. So what this is telling me here is I should have, when creating an About Me page, it's tempting just to list your achievements and credentials. So instead of to just list your achievements and credentials. So we're going to accept that. It's going to adjust it. However, it wants a comma. This is saying restructure this instead of in reality, just start with visitors. Need to add a comma. Remove the comma. As you can see, it's a lot of just small little adjustments. These purple sentences, again, are asking you to restructure the way that you're saying things, right? So you don't have dangling modifiers, and in this case, it's an unsplit the infinitive. You don't have to remember all the grammar rules. For the most part, most of these make sense. I usually accept them. All right, still scrolling through here, almost done with this first step. Okay. See, so this one doesn't make sense to me. It's a bullet point, so I don't really want to put I have in here. So sometimes you got to catch things like that. So that one makes sense. All right, a few more here. And with a clear call to action. Legend tells of sirens luring sailors to shipwrecks through irresistible songs. Okay. Hopefully this is helpful to actually watch me do it instead of just telling you what I do, even though I know it might hopefully not be too boring for you. Hopefully this is helpful. I'm about to move to the next step of this process, and you can see just how simple this process can be. Okay, so now that we have all of those corrections, and looks like it redid some. Sometimes that happens when you make a correction, it comes back and says, actually, you want to clarify this. So let's see what this says. Want me to help clarify your business mission personally? Want me to personally help? I don't necessarily like the change on that one. I'm going to click dismiss. Okay, I like that correction. We'll make that one. So I scroll through one more time, make sure there's nothing else, and it looks like we're good. All right, so that is step one. Now for step two, I am now going to use the Hemingway editor. Now there is a free and new pro version of the Hemingway editor. The free version, what it does is it highlights for you all of the difficult to read sentences, and it does a few other things as well. It'll tell you what grade level your writing is, and we want to make sure our grade level is not too high, too academic, because that can tend to be boring and not engaging. And we don't want our sentences to be too hard to read. If it's hard for the reader to read your book, it can be a little bit like laborious. We want it to be a fun enjoyment. So we're going to use Hemingway Editor. Now, the new Pro version has an AI that will help rewrite the complex sentences for you. So let's jump back into the computer and let me show you how we do this. So I'm going to highlight this entire chapter and copy it. I'm going to come over to the Hemingway Editor, get rid of what's in here, and now I'm going to paste what I just put in here. Now you can see right away that we have a grade 8 readability. That's great. But I want to go ahead and try to fix all of the red sentences. Now, if you see over here on the right side, I know it's a little bit small for you, but maybe this helps a little bit. This is telling me I've got 16 sentences in this chapter that are considered very hard to read. There's 16 that are hard to read. There's 3 phrases that have simpler alternatives if I want to do that. And there's 5 uses of passive voice. There's 37 adverbs. It wants me to aim for 21 or fewer. Now, I do not try to make all of the colors go away. And you don't want to sit here and watch me make all the colors go away. I tend to just focus on the red, and then I will make judgment calls on the rest based off of reading and rereading the chapter. But we're just going to focus on the 16 sentences. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the very first sentence up here. I'm going to click on it. And you could see it ask me, do you want me to fix it for me? So this is where the AI tool on the Pro version works. So we're going to click on that. All right. Now, it sometimes has a hard time to simplify it. You're going to find that as we go through it. But this is basically saying to me, this is pretty much as simple as you're going to make this one. So I'm going to leave this one alone. So I'm just going to hit close on this one. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so this one, it was postgraduate level before. Now it's grade 7 with this recommendation. So instead of saying published in 1791 when Franklin was 84 years old, the book chronicles his life from humble beginnings as the son of a candlemaker to his rise as a successful printer, inventor, founder, father, and diplomat. Whew. Can you imagine if I'm reading the audiobook? It's a little bit of a run-on kind of sentence. It's complex, right? Instead, we've got this now. The book was published in 1791 when Franklin was 84 years old. It chronicles his life from humble beginnings as the son of a candlemaker. It follows his rise as a successful printer, inventor, founding father, and diplomat. So you see how it actually took that complex sentence, hard to read, in one breath, and it made 3 sentences out of it and lowered it to a grade 7 level. I'm going to say use suggestion. All right, let's go to the next one. And I'm not going to read each of these for you. The autobiography provided. Boom, use suggestion. Let's hit the next one. Okay, so this one went from postgraduate to grade 7. Perfect, use suggestion. Scroll down, find the next one. Boom, I like it. Next one. Boom, done. Let's go down here. Let's fix this one. Use suggestion. You can see this can be very fast, and you're improving your writing and making it more readable. Lowered that one. Let's do this one. So this one went from a grade 15 to a grade 9 level. I like it. Let's go this one. We'll take it. So this one's struggling a little bit. Now I can say get another suggestion to see if I can push the AI a little bit further. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you can see this one basically rewrote the same sentence. So they may have eliminated a couple of words, but not very many. Let's try, see if we can push it a little bit. Okay, so this case, it looked like it may have worked. When readers see their own thoughts mirrored back, it powerfully communicates that you grasp their situation. So this says they can trust you. So here's what I would do with this one, because this doesn't make that much sense. I'm going to use this suggestion, but then I'm just going to get rid of that. So you still want to use some common sense here. And you can see it's still red. So I could push it further now and try it again. And it looks like it's going to be, so as long as it's still making sense for me, and by the way, my little tip here, read it out loud. If you read it out loud and you're losing your breath, it's a long, hard to read sentence. So I'm just going to use that one for sake of not making this video longer than it needs to be. All right, let's do this one. That looks good. We've only got 6 more left. End your page in a similar way. Urge readers to take clear action. This could mean signing up for a newsletter, scheduling a consultation, or downloading a resource. See how this went from grade 16 to grade 6. Your reading is going to come across much better when you use a tool like Hemingway. Now, again, you could do the free version and just rewrite these complex sentences, but I find that the Pro plan is worth it. As you can see, I'm able to do this much faster. All right. We got 2 left. Oh, those are 2 that we've already done that we settled on. So there you go. This part is done for me. Now I can get in here more if I want and try to say, could I do, for example, 3 phrases that have simpler in the purple? So if I come down here, let's see, it wants me to use but or yet. I don't really care about that. I think that's fine. Demonstrate. It's saying prove or show. Quickly pivot to show you understand the visitor's needs. Okay, let's do that one. So again, you can see here, outline your methodology, outline your method. It's just giving you some alternatives here. So yeah, again, the adverbs part, you can go through here and just remove these adverbs. In Uncle Tom's Cabin, Harriet Beecher Stowe portrayed slaves' pain, masterfully portrayed. I'm going to leave it in there. All right. So the last step that I like to do is I'm going to highlight this whole thing now, and I'm going to come over to PlagiaShield. Now, I find that PlagiaShield for me is better than Grammarly Pro's plagiarism checker. And the reason for that is, I believe, based on my opinion, that in experience, that the Grammarly Pro is a little bit too strict. If there's 4 words that are similar from some article, it flags it, and it just creates more complexity. The truth is, 4 words in the same sentence or more are not considered plagiarism. I like to use PlagiaShield. It works a little bit better, and I've never had any problems getting any of my books approved in Amazon or kickback due to a plagiarism problem. This is what I use. I just copy and paste it in here, and you can do the $3 a month plan that'll give you 100 checks per month. If you're writing a book and you're doing it for each chapter, you're never going to hit that. I also use it for blog writing as well, blog post writing. So I find that the 100 is pretty good for most people. So we're going to go ahead and have that be checking. And while that is finishing up checking, let me just recap the process. So again, I start in Atticus, I get my draft written. I don't even think about editing, it's just getting it out of your head. And I also use AI tools to help me come up with a good introduction. So I may have a draft ready to go, and I'll take the draft where I don't really have a strong introduction yet, and I will copy and paste the draft into something like Claude or ChatGPT, and I will say, can you come up with 3 historical stories or 3 stories from history that would make a great introduction to this chapter? And then it'll give me those introductions. Now, you do want to go verify that those history stories are true. But I automatically do that anyway because I research those stories on Google to find them so that I can create a citation, because I want to have a citation for that story anyway. But I find that that is incredibly helpful. In fact, while we're waiting for this document to finish its check, let me hop back over to the screen. Just in this book alone, I can show you this story about Estee Lauder was a great story for this one. It found a story about P.T. Barnum that I used in this chapter. Here's one related to Henry Ford and how he came up with, this is about picking the right domain name and the right brand name for your business. And he was trying to figure it out. People were challenging him to call it something else other than Ford. He was adamant that he wants to just have it Ford. And today we all know what Ford means, right? We relate it to vehicles, cars. Story about Subway and how they changed their brand colors and their income went up. And it's a whole chapter about brand colors. So I've got some really engaging stories in here that I've been able to locate using a research tool like AI. So when I wrote my traditionally published book back in 2019, this book right here, this was done through a book publishing company. I didn't have AI to come up with stories. So I had books everywhere. I would go to the library and I would get a bunch of books on the topics that I was writing about. And I'd have to dig through those books as well as books in my library to try to find stories. And it was a long process. That time is cut down dramatically by using AI to give it your chapter and ask it to come up with a story as a great introduction to your chapter. All right, let's check in and see what we have. And we are at 100% unique. So now what I do is I come back here. We are working on chapter 16. I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to copy and paste my brand new chapter, and it is ready to go. Now, the one thing that I do is I tab down and I put a little bracket here just to make sure that I know that I've already done the process. So I will put something like GR, I did Grammarly, HE is short for the Hemingway editor, and then PS is the PlagiaShield, and that way I know I've already edited this chapter. I can always come back later and still read through it again out loud and simplify sentences and make some changes, but those are the changes I make. And I do this chapter by chapter. So I hope this shows you a way that you can do your own editing and get the grammar structure, simpler sentences, and do a check for plagiarism. And you can do it very quickly, chapter by chapter. A link to all these tools are below in the description. I hope this was helpful to you. Until next time, never forget your message matters. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.